Alright lads, welcome back to another video. This one is going to be chatting about a game that I'm going to this weekend. It's a local enough game, obviously, local team, sort of Socky Juniors actually, and the other local team, Alloa Athletic, and then the third local team is Stirling Albion. Now, obviously, don't support my local team, support them Stirling Athletic, but I'm choosing to go to this game because it is a very local game, and let's be fair, in the last few months, or basically all season, I've been going to the bigger games whenever I get the opportunity. Whenever I get a free weekend, I've always went to the bigger games, the ones that are in the central belt of Scotland, sort of, but they always end up being the bigger games that cost more money to go to, etc, etc. The choice this weekend was between this game, Stirling Albion versus Queen's Park, or St Mirren versus Motherwell in the Scottish Cup. Those were the choices for the Saturday games, and St Mirren v Motherwell, very enticing tie, but I've seen the teams so much this season that I just thought I'll change it up this week, and we'll go to Stirling Albion, fourth bank, to watch Stirling Albion versus Queen's Park. It is actually a very important tie, this one, because both teams are pipped right in mid-table in League 2, but just 2 points off of the promotion playoff places in the fourth tier. Stirling Albion currently sit just above Queen's Park on goal difference, it must be, with Elgin City in that fourth playoff place, which both these teams will be vying for. Now, Elgin City this weekend, being the team that are obviously a couple of points ahead and do indeed have that last promotion playoff place in their grasp right now, they are playing at home to Cove Rangers this weekend, so it's not the easiest of ties that Elgin City have this weekend, so it is a chance for one of Stirling Albion or Queen's Park to really grab the bull by the horns and get themselves into the promotion playoffs. I believe in Stirling's case for the first time this season, and in Queen's Park's case it may be the first time this season, but they could have possibly made it in at one point early in the season. But it's not been for a good while, let's just say that. Now, Stirling Albion, of course, they have the management of Martin Hardy and Kevin Rutkowitz, or Kevin Rutkowitz and Martin Hardy. I believe Rutkowitz is the manager and Martin Hardy is the assistant. They've done very well since the start of the season. They weren't a good team at the start of the season, it's fair to say that. They weren't performing to the levels they would want to. They were right down the bottom end of the league, fighting with the likes of Brecon, Stenhousemuir, Albion Rovers at a point as well. But they've done very well afterwards to get themselves into a position where they are just those few points off the promotion playoffs, and they're in very good form as it stands, at least in the last few months. In Queen's Park, of course, well, Ray McKinnon is now the manager. Yes, Fraud FC member himself, there he is, poking his head out the top of the Fraud FC box. Ray McKinnon himself is indeed the manager of Queen's Park. The Rayvolution, as we all know it's called. He's looking to obviously build with Queen's Park and build them into a side that is a top end League 1 side, if not going into the Championship. We all know that they've got a lot of pedigree behind them, tradition, history. They were basically the inaugural Scottish football side, whether that's exactly correct or not. You know what I mean. They're a very well respected side within Scottish football because of their history, and Ray McKinnon is coming in there to build on that history and make more milestones for Queen's Park and hopefully be able to build them up into, as I said, a top end League 1 side challenging for promotion into the Championship. I'd imagine that's what the goal is. And he's done relatively well so far, bringing in players of decent calibre. Obviously, they recently went from amateur to professional, and they've signed their full squad on professional terms, which obviously gives them massive scope to go out and buy better players, or bring in better players. Of course, they're not buying anybody, they're bringing them in as free agents, but they're bringing in a good calibre of player. They've brought in players like Craig Slater, Peter Grant, and a few others as well. They're doing a good job, and ultimately, it's what's seen their form turn round as well. They already had some decent players on the books, but ultimately Queen's Park were probably always going to be a League 2 side, and maybe fighting down the bottom end of there, unless a change like this was going to come, where a manager came in and really changed things around and started to bring in better quality players. And when you think of Queen's Park, you think tradition, and ultimately the change that had to be made was that tradition being broken of them being a fully amateur club, and to bring them onto the next level they simply had to go out and make themselves a professional unit. Ultimately, football clubs live and die on how much success they end up having. And if Queen's Park had to do this in order to push up the leagues, then that is what had to happen. It's a bit pretentious, really, to have a gripe at them for wanting to do better as a football club. Ultimately, they're going to do better with being a professional football club, and it's already proven that bringing in players of such calibre as Craig Slater, Peter Grant, etc. is going to benefit them. And that's been proven because this past weekend, Queen's Park won 1-0, and Craig Slater was the goal scorer, one of their new signings, obviously based on the fact that they are now a professional football club, as I said, and that just shows that it is making a difference. Stirling Albion, on the other hand, they also picked up a win this past weekend away at Edinburgh City. I mentioned it on the last word. It's a fantastic feat for them to do that, and ultimately they deserve all the credit they get for results like that, because you wouldn't expect Stirling Albion to get results like that on the football pitch, but they sure have, and it's very impressive. It's very impressive to go away to a team that's fighting for promotion this season. Ultimately, it's a big slip up for Edinburgh City to not get a win at home to Stirling Albion, but for Stirling Albion, they'll not give a toss. Kevin Rutkowitz and Martin Hardy have done a fantastic job in turning that club around since the start of the season, and they really do deserve a huge amount of credit for the job they've done there, because Stirling Albion, like Queen's Park and a lot of the other kind of mid-table League 2 sides, they've never really looked like pushing towards promotion in League 2, and they've gotten themselves into a position where they can realistically look at that now. As I said, if Elgin City don't pick up all 3 points this weekend and lose to Cove Rangers, and one of these teams win, be that Queen's Park or Stirling Albion, then they'll go into the promotion playoffs, and if it's Stirling Albion, then it's an even more fantastic job that Rutkowitz and Hardy have done at Fourth Bank. So, all credit to them. Give them a clap. Give them a clap, lads. Come on. Now, obviously, I just wanted to preview this game because I think it's quite an important game. And I want you to all know, obviously, that I'm going to the game. So, drop your score predictions in for the video as well on social media. It's going to be one that I'll need a good few predictions for, probably 7, 8, maybe 9. So, if you want to be in the video, drop a prediction in on my social medias. They'll be at the end of the video. So, make sure you look out for that. And in terms of my prediction, well, I'm going to go for, let's say, 2-1 Queen's Park. I think the better calibre of players will come out on top here. Unfortunately for Stirling Albion, because I do like the ex-Dunfermline players as the management team, but I think Queen's Park will come out on top here. And the Rayvolution will be better and bigger than ever. Isn't that right, Ray? Come on, lad. Yes, come on. But that's it for this video, guys. Just for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. Comment down below your thoughts, predictions for this game, and subscribe for more of this type of content. And until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers, guys.